Hello, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mrs. Patterson and Mrs. Felix, and this is week 4, day 3. It should be April 15th if you are following along with us day by day. And we are working on summarizing literary text. If you want more details, you can look up ELA GSE 4RL2. But overall, our goal is to be able to summarize literary text. We want to be able to summarize not only stories, but also dramas by putting it into our own words and restating the most important events in the order that they happen. We want to also be able to distinguish or tell the difference between important and unimportant details when summarizing a story or a drama. So that's what we've been working on this week as we go by day to figure out how we can summarize a story or a drama. So yesterday we read the story of the mix-up. And that means that today, in order for us to truly understand this whole standard, we can't just do a story. We also now have to do a drama. So we're going to be reading a drama today called The Blind Men and the Elephant. We see that it's labeled as a drama. That's the genre or the category of this story. We learned maybe 2 weeks back that a drama is simply another name for a play. And so we're going to be reading a play today. This play is about a folktale. So it's like a fable because it includes a message, a lesson, or if you know the synonym, a theme. So most fables include themes. This drama is based on a folktale. As we see under the title, it says The Blind Man and the Elephant, based on an Indian folktale. So we know that there's going to be some sort of theme or lesson that our main characters are going to learn by the end of the story that we can then take and make general. So we see all these different ideas that we've been learning overlapping. So we see a summary, but we also see theme. That tells me that knowing how all of these things work together is going to truly help you comprehend the text that you are reading. So I want you to think, we have the title, we have this really great looking graphic, we have an elephant right there in the center. Even look at the way the font is shaped. What do you think this story, The Blind Men and the Elephant, is going to be about? I want you to make an inference. Make an educated guess. I hope it's something good because we're going to start reading shortly and we're going to see if your inference or educated guess about what this story could be is right or wrong or maybe just a little bit close. As we read along, I do want you to pause this video and read independently. If you need to follow along with your fingers, just make sure you are going from left to right and going up and down nicely across, and make sure that you are reading for comprehension. Our goal this week is to summarize. So as you read, you want to be able to answer the questions who, what, when, where, why, and how. These questions could also be looked at from the perspective of who are the characters, where and when is the setting of this story, what major events are happening, why do these problems and events occur, and how do they solve the problem. So we're still following that same story map that we've been using all week when we read along. So I want you to think about that, and when we get done reading, I'm going to ask you guys a couple of comprehension questions. So at this time, go ahead and stop the video and come on back. And for those of you who need me to read along, then go ahead. I would love to do it. This story is called The Blind Men and the Elephant, based on an Indian folktale. Remember that this is a drama, and so as we read this play, you will notice a lot of brackets. Those brackets provide stage directions. What that means is they tell the characters what they are doing or how they are doing, and gives other important details to what should be happening on stage with those characters. So our first line is going to give you an example of stage directions that are in brackets. 4 blind men stand by a road. A man on an elephant rides by. The rider: "Make way! Make way! I must take my elephant by." The first man: I have never seen an elephant, sir. Other men. Nor I. The rider. Never. Do you not know what he is like? All four men. No, sir. The rider. Come, then, stand by him and touch him. The first man. Placing his hand on the elephant's side. How interesting! Now I know all about him. He is exactly like a wall. The second man, feeling the tusk. Ha! Not at all like a wall. He is round and smooth and sharp. He is like a spear. The third man, feeling the trunk. Oh, no, he is like a snake. The fourth man, feeling a leg. Oh, how wrong you are! He is round and tall like a tree. All four men start arguing. The rider. Yet none of you can see. He rides on, laughing. The first man. Hear how he laughs at you all? The second man. He laughs at you and the others. The third man. He laughs not at me. The fourth man. I say, he laughs at all three of you. The four men shake their fingers angrily and shout at each other. Remember that we said that this story, The Blind Man and the Elephant, was a drama, so it was a play that gave us stage directions, but it also was based on an Indian folk tale. So there was some sort of theme or moral or lesson learned by these four blind men by the end of the story. But our goal is not to think about theme as much, but I want you guys to take some time to think, what could be the theme of the story? What could they have learned by the end of this? And then we'll check it out. I want you guys to put your answers in the Microsoft Teams if you are watching this via Microsoft Teams. And if not, just think about it. Based on everything that we learned last week or 2 weeks ago, because we just had spring break, but what could the theme of this story be? But as I said, our goal is not to focus on theme. We are here to focus on summarizing. So we have to answer that who, what, where, when, why, and how as we go along. You guys have now spent 2 days with me helping you out. I did it by myself on Monday. We did it together yesterday. Today, you are going to do the remainder of this on your own. But the good thing is you have 2 multiple choice questions and then a short response. The very first multiple choice question is asking you to use what you learned from reading the drama to respond to the following questions. Choose the 3 most important events to use in a summary of the drama. Now remember, we are asking ourselves who, what, where, when, why, and how. And a key way to determine if it is important or if it is unimportant is to ask yourself, if I did not include this detail in my summary, would the story still make sense? So if I left this out, would the story make sense? Let's think about the story of The Incredibles first. I know that we've all seen The Incredibles. We've talked about it. So everyone should have a pretty good idea of what The Incredibles is. Now, if there was someone that had never seen it and asked you, hey, well, what's it about? They don't want every single detail about that story, because if you take all that time to tell them exactly what happened, all of those different dialogues that happen every single time that they move left or right, well, by that time, that individual could have went and seen the movie, or could have gone and seen the movie on their own. So every time that we do a summary, we want it to be shorter than the original content. We want it to be shorter than the story or shorter than the movie that we are talking about. So if we have The Incredibles and we're trying to decide if a detail is important or unimportant, we want to ask ourselves, would our story be the same if I left out this detail? So if I told the guy that asked, hey, well, what is The Incredibles 2 about? And I said, well, it's about this family and they have a baby and a son and a daughter, and they visit their friends sometime, and eventually the mom goes to work and the dad ends up having to take care of the kids. Do you think that that would be enough information or enough important information for that person to make a decision on whether or not they want to see The Incredibles 2? I'll tell you, I think it is very important that you say that they are superheroes. If not, who would want to go see The Incredibles? That sounds like an everyday family. It just seems like, oh, okay, well, that's not that important. So when we go through, we want to ask ourselves, do I need to include this information in the story? Will my story change if I do not include this? So let's try to choose those 3 most important events to use in a summary of the drama that we just read. For question number 1, remember we see there in bold, you need 3 answers. So you are going to, on your Nearpod, go to the slide that has this on there. You can draw it, choose your favorite color, and then go and circle 3 of your correct answers. I did it like that at the end because I'm not going to give you the answers. You guys are smart enough to figure it out. But you can use your draw it tool in order to circle your correct answers. From there, we then have question number 2, which reads, which statement best summarizes why the elephant rider laughs? So we want to know his motivation. What is the reason behind why the rider, who can see, would laugh at the 4 men? So think about the story. Think about the fact that this is a folk tale. So there's a lesson here to learn. Why do you think he would laugh at these guys? Go through answers A, B, C, and D, and I want you to look for the best answer. Remember when we see a multiple choice question and it says best, there's going to be a couple that sound correct, but there's one that is going to beat out all of the others. So use your critical thinking. Really go through and think about which one summarizes why the rider laughs. We want to know his motivation. Afterwards, go ahead and talk about the details in the drama that are important enough to include in your summary, because we are going to be using our story map to summarize the drama. That's going to be in question number 4. It says use information in your story map to summarize the drama. Include details from the text to support your summary. So make sure that you are answering questions 1 through 4. And remember that a story map can help you to organize details to use in a summary. So just like every day that we've been working on this, we've taken the time to answer our who, what, where, when, why, and how. And we've been doing that by answering the questions, who is our character, or who are our main characters? Where and when is our setting of this story? We then are asking what is happening? What are those major events going on? Why are these things happening? So why are they experiencing the problems that they're experiencing? And then finally, how did they end up solving them? So use that story map. Really lean on that as you write your summary. And the other thing that we want to make sure that we remember, when we write a summary, we are writing it in the order that it happened. We are using the plot. We are telling the beginning, middle, and end of the story in chronological order. So we want to say first this happened, then that happened, at last this is how that story wrapped up, while making sure we're including the who, what, where, when, why, and how. And then the last key thing is that everything that you do, you want to make sure that you are putting it into your own words. If it's not in your own words, there's no point to a summary, because the individual that's asking you to summarize could just go read the original text for themselves. We want to hear what you have to say about it by giving us that information of who, what, where, when, why, and how in your own words. So once you finish this up, please make sure that you answer the Google Forms as well as complete your One I Ready reading lesson. And that is all for you guys today when you are done with those tasks. Thank you guys for watching this video. We hope that you have a great one, and know that if you need anything from us, you can reach Miss Felix and myself at our class Dojo or Microsoft Teams. This was week 4, day 3, and we are learning how to summarize literary text.